Well, at the time, I was relatively young, bunch of young friends. We used to go into wine stores asking folks, and they would immediately move us to the beer section because they saw us as inexperienced, unsophisticated, and it was a little stuffy. And I always felt a little intimidated walking into wine stores, and I knew there were a lot of other people like me. And so we decided we wanted to demystify some of the stuffiness of wine, and we wanted to bring it down to meet people where they are, and make sure people feel included, seen and heard. And the whole idea of PlumpJack was a guy that, broke with tradition. Jack Falstaff, that kind of was full of life, joie de vivre, was one of the great comic characters in Shakespeare that didn't take himself too seriously, didn't take others too seriously, and we thought that was a perfect blend of a brand and just sort of a mindset and an attitude we wanted to bring to the wine store.
Well, it's named after my first opera. Well, that's Sir John Falstaff. He's actually majestic. I mean, he's a wit more than a clown. Everybody loves him in the plays.
Ultimately, Gordon was so happy with the early success of the restaurant and the growing success of the wine store that he immediately said, I'm in, as it relates to the winery.
The early days of PlumpJack were a lot of fun. So growing up with Gordon Getty as sort of an uncle to us, and my father, his closest friend, was a lot of fun because wine was always part of our lives. Initially, I was kind of anxious, but I also knew that he did have this passion for wine. We did have this, history with the family, and so I knew that there was going to be a real reverence for what Oakville could create.
If you don't know what you don't know, so we had a beginner's mind. The point being that our approach to the wine business was similar. We didn't have the experience in the wine business. I didn't have experience opening the wine store, didn't have restaurant experience, didn't have experience running a winery. And so it allowed us to see things differently, to do things differently, to ask different questions. And that ultimately, I think, shaped the narrative around it that has gotten it to a completely different place than we ever could have imagined it.
So I joined them in late '98, and me and three other crazy fanatical people started making wine here in Oakville, and almost 30 years ago.
John's energy and enthusiasm, we knew, I would think instinctively, that this was the person that was going to represent the core values that my brother had, and certainly the energy that we needed to take a beautiful piece of property and make it profitable. And that was really the goal. Make the best wines you can make and make a little bit of money doing it.
You have this amazing magical property here. It has roughly about 32 planted acres, and the majority of the fruit was being sold to other wineries. So I decided to keep it all for our own production here at PlumpJack, and we made we were during this time of exploration, what wines to make, who we wanted to be. We made many different wines, from Sangiovese, from Sonoma County, to 3 different kinds of Chardonnays, to Merlot, to a number of wines, Petit Syrahs, and deciding to be a Cabernet house, a Cabernet Estate, which we are today, was part of that process, which was a healthy process. Experimentation and risk is part of what we do, and we embrace that.
To have the honor of coming back and seeing the property, and John Conover's, just his deep feelings for this property and his trust to be part of all of this is just really amazingly wonderful.
I started here as the production manager under Nils Wenge, who was the consulting winemaker at the time. Just amazing to be back here. It just feels like coming home. Well, initially, this was extremely rustic, would be putting it mildly. Nothing really had been, none of what you see was there. And I think it was really extraordinary to see this little kind of rustic, crazy little place where there was only like maybe 60 barrels in there, and then just have it evolve into a much more designed and thought out place.
funny coming in here today. I haven't been back to the winery in a while, and just seeing it, nothing much has changed. The new technology on tanks and stuff has changed, but the footprint is still here. That makes it fun for me. It brings back a lot of memories. Gordon's always been very good, and Gavin and Hillary and John, allowing the winemakers to craft what they feel the best wines. Just as Shakespeare wrote, all of his plays and so forth, we are allowed to craft the best wines possible from the property. And that spirit is sort of encompassed by that. So we're just stewards for a certain amount of time and craft the best wines you possibly can. Seeing how powerful PlumpJack is now and the brand equity that was created, just to see where it is now, that's probably my proudest moment, is being able to tell people to this day, oh yeah, I made the wines at PlumpJack for 10 years.
I didn't really have expectations the first time I came to the winery, but my initial impressions really were, how can you make wine in this place? There's this old kind of rustic barn. From the outside, the appearance is not that of a winery. It doesn't look like you can make wine here, but you go inside and you see this really amazing winery that's really been adapted to make wine. This old barn that was built as a horse stable back in the 1880s. And that's one of the charms, I think, for PlumpJack. When you visit PlumpJack, you see this rustic yet whimsical site that really looks like it did 30 years ago. It looks like it did probably 100 years ago. When I came here in 2012, my goal wasn't to change PlumpJack. It wasn't to make PlumpJack something different. It was already an amazing wine. It's really an iconic winery. And to have been here for 13 of the 30 years and to have been making an impact here, making some really great wines along with my team here, it's really special. It feels good to be part of that.
What I'm most proud of is being proud of what we've made. It's like composing. You've gotta do your level darndest with every note.
Same thing with the winery. I want that thing around for the great-great-grandkids. So for the next 30 years, next 300 years, I just want it to be around. I want it to be enjoyed, and I want it to constantly iterate and adapt.
I think hopefully to make better and better wines over the next 30 years and continue this tradition, this sustained Oakville, to continue to prosper and achieve what we set out to achieve, which is great wines, great culture, great people, and being great stewards of the land.